All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, this is something I'm promoting. Going to be talking about Eric Clapton. But here are Ghost Town's First Last Time. This is a phenomenal album, and people should check it out. It really defies categories. And so if you like organic music, traditional sounding music, where you're going to hear country, rock, soul, R&B, southern rock, it's all over the map, and it's really good, and it's all kind of blended together. So check out Ghost Towns. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Also, check out Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. Playing the vintage stuff that nobody else is playing. Their top 5 is out, and it's really good because it's all people that you know and love. modernretrofm.com. Now, I'm going to be talking about Eric Clapton, and the video is going to be entitled Eric Clapton Was Willing to Play the Game. And I have to continue to sort of fight back against revisionism and these 50-something reviewers that are talking about how great Eric Clapton looks. 78 years old, looks and sounds like he did 30 years ago, which is 100% true. Now, he doesn't look exactly like he did 30 years ago, but for a guy who's 78 years old, he looks remarkably healthy. One commentator said he looked spry. Okay, but then insisted, or I don't know if it was a joke or it was a troll, but talked about how he had hoped Eric had his booster. Okay, his booster. And I'm just like, what? So the media is surprised. And I think in some ways they're slightly disappointed that Eric looks and sounds this good, because his radical, crazy views on the thingdemic and how we were supposed to mitigate that, and how everybody walked in lockstep, and how they all walked in lockstep, how they all sheltered in place and did what they were supposed to do, and wore their ceremonial garb on their face longer than they had to, because they were the ones that cared more about humanity. And as you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger said at one point, "Screw your freedom," right? That's what he said. That's the guy who is governor of California at one point. And everybody kind of went along with it. Yeah. We were trying to protect grandma. All right, well, grandma is constantly sheltering in place. So I don't think you have to worry about grandma all that much. See, if we had taken the approach that Sweden took, which was to care for the older people, the people who are more vulnerable, the people who have comorbidities, right? All of those people, if we had focused on them, rather than worrying about the latest, I don't know what you want to call it. I guess it's a booster, or it's a new version of the first version, where apparently they want to give it to 6-month-old babies. Yeah, they want to give it to 6-month-old. Now, what I've heard is that the uptake is very low on these products now, and apparently these large pharmaceutical companies are getting a little bit nervous because the crazy people like me and maybe you, we've decided, you know what? I think we're just going to go it alone. You can make other people into pincushions. You can do the 10 mice experiment and then say, yeah, this is great, even though we have to do emergency use authorization. Why are you still doing the EAU if this is just business as usual, right? We should all just embrace this. Why does it have to be under emergent? Is anyone asking this question? Of course not. Gee, I hope Eric's had his booster. That's what we get from the concert reviewer. Nothing like, gee, maybe Eric was right. He looks great, sounds great. And then, of course, you got these people out there And I just love you, man. I love it when the people come forward and say, you know what, he's just making that stuff up. That didn't happen to him. It was all in his head. This is what people were told when they had reactions. Shh, don't say you had a reaction. Maybe it's just in your head. You're fine. Yeah, when somebody keels over backward, right? Or collapses, that's definitely all in their head. Why would we think that they're, just not play acting? I mean, this is the level of denial that certain people are in. So some of these guys who are like 58 years old, 56 years old, they're out there remarking about how great Eric Clapton looks. He looks great. He's sounding great. He's playing great. So yeah, that thing with his hands, after dose number 2, where he complained and said he couldn't feel. It's actually in one of his songs that he talks about this. What's it called? This Has Got to Stop, right? Which was an epic song where he just pointed the cannon at everybody. There was no subtle lyrics in that song, which we needed that kind of song at that time. And of course, American radio stations avoided that song like the plague. I don't think it got airplay anywhere except on YouTube, where it did extraordinarily well, and it deserved. And someone out there needed to address this. Van Morrison did as well. But, two unlikely characters, right? Eric Clapton and Van Morrison, and all the, burly testosterone rockers of the 80s and 90s, and all these grunge guys that look as though you don't want to get too close to them most of the time. He didn't have anything to say. Very strange, very bizarre that it was Eric Clapton and Van Morrison. So Eric looks spry. That's what we heard. He looks spry, but we hope he's been boosted. The bottom line is Eric Clapton wanted to tour in 2021. And so he was willing to play the game. He was willing, okay, I want to go out on tour. People might want to see me. And so, yeah, if I've got to do number 1 and then number 2, and then after number 2 something happens, wouldn't that freak you out a little bit? Of course, it's all in his head, right? But wouldn't that freak normal people out who aren't going to be told by somebody that they don't know that it's a psychological problem? Really, that's all they've got. They don't have any truth. I mean, yes, you could make it up, right? You could say, oh, I'm feeling really bad after the second one. I don't think anybody wants to do that. I don't think most people don't want to make up how bad they're feeling after they do this, especially when they're out there taking, selfies of themselves with the Band-Aids on their arm, showing off what they had just done. Look at me. Look at my virtue. How about you? You need to step up and do what I did. And it got so bizarre. Like, this is a cult. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say. Now, look, there were a lot of well-meaning people. But the people who are showing this stuff off, I think that goes to a different place. But the well-meaning people are the people that are like, okay, I've got to go to work. I've got to provide for my family, which you should never have to choose between providing for your family and doing something that the medical establishment tells you that you have to do, that you should never be put in that position ever again. But yet they're constantly talking about it. World Health Organization, all these different people are talking about, hey, we need rules in place because there's another one coming soon, man, and you got to be ready for the next one. But my point about this Eric Clapton situation is he was playing the game until something happened. And then, a tripwire obviously was engaged, and Eric started to think, and he's like, you know what, I'm not doing this ever again. Now, why does he look so good these days? Is that suspicious? Was he making it up? because we all know that if you take these products, the more you take them, the healthier you get. Think about how insane that is. Well, I've had 6, and I feel better than I've ever felt before after number 6. Putting this stuff in my system has been the best thing for me. Do we know what's in it, by the way? I used to talk about this. Are the ingredients on the packaging? Are they? If they are, that's news, because I was told that the inserts were all blank. And I've seen this done on television where they, take the whole package apart and they pull out the insert and they look at it and it's blank. And why do we need emergency use authorization if this is such? Shouldn't this have been approved, universally? So we're 2-3 years later, and we're still doing for the 6-month-old babies. Think of how insane that is. All right. So yeah, was this a video meant to address the things that are still going on? Yes. 10 mice. Well, there's a human trial, and there were. We just can't talk about the human trial. Why can't you talk about the human trial? Did something go wrong? Shouldn't we know? I mean, we don't know anything. This is the problem. And so for all of those reviewers and commentators who are still giving Eric Clapton grief because he didn't want to go along with all of the lemmings, now there's some psychology here. How come you didn't do what I do? I did something great and noble. You should have participated and set an example. You, of all people, Eric Clapton, should have been the one to set the bar high and to advocate for this. Okay, one more time with a restaurant analogy. One more time. Okay, I go to that restaurant and I get food poisoning. Am I just going to ignore the fact that I get food poisoning? No. I'm going to tell other people, hey, don't go to that restaurant. Man, I had the chicken marsala and lost my cookies in the parking lot. That this is what people do. Online, Yelp, 1 star. I give that restaurant 1. I give the CDC 1 star. I give them 0 stars if I can. But why is that so strange to people that if you had a reaction, well, it's not typical, so you should just ignore your own reaction and suck it up and do it for the greater good. Talk positively for the greater good of humanity. Okay, great. Look, you can do whatever you want to with your life. If you think that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread and we need to do it more 6 times in the matter of, a year or two, that's your call as a human being. I would say, though, if somebody is doing something behind the scenes that's a little nefarious, that there should be an investigation into that to see if there's intent there. Like are people intending to do other people harm in this process? Because I remember when science was trying to make people's lives better, all right, and extend the lifespan and telling people to eat healthy and do certain things that would help them in that. But now you turn on any television show at night and you're going to see ads for products with a litany of side effects. And they're going to tell you what those side effects could be. One of the side effects of this particular product, you can pretty much hear this during, if you're watching like Wheel of Fortune or something. Death is a side effect. Just flat out death. If death occurs, what do you do at that point? Do you call your doctor if death occurs? What do you do? Who do you call? How do you make the call at that point? I guess if you're married, you can have your spouse do it. Yeah, my husband had pretty hardcore side effect from this product, but you guys did say this could happen. So, who's liable? We are, because we trusted you. Well, Eric Clapton was willing to play the game. He played it, and it didn't go so well. And a few people, I think, need to come to terms with that. That's more important than how great Eric looks, how great he's playing. Those things are self-evident. I mean, he's the greatest right now. He's the GOAT. The reviewer even said, he's the GOAT. But yet, get your booster, man. I'm still right, even though you're the GOAT and you look better than me. And you're 20 years older than me, but you look as good, if not better than me. And you play guitar really well. And this Crossroads charity thing you do, it's really amazing. They don't talk about Crossroads. No, that's not a hot topic for them. They'd rather talk about who's there than what it's all about. I guarantee you, Eric would like you to talk about what it's about, who it's helped, and why we need it. And just even if it's a passing mention, that would go a long way into kind of recenter where people are when it comes to charity events, especially in this case, an event that could help save lives. It could turn lives around and save people's lives. So good on Eric. He is a good guy. I am blessed to have him as a friend, and I don't say that in a boastful way. It's a humbling thing, and I don't even understand it, but I am just going to go with it. And I want to thank everybody who's tuning in. Just because of that, I get messages all the time. You know, you did this interview, and it was the greatest interview. And all I did, I talked, actually, in that last interview, I talked way too much. You know, if and when I do another interview with Eric Clapton, he's going to talk more, and I'm going to talk less. So just if that happens, just that's how it's going to go. All right, Ghost Towns, First Last Time. Go listen to this. I think you'll really like it. There's so much going on here. It's hard to describe. Also, my friends over at Modern Retro Radio, check it out, modernretrofm.com. A new playlist over there. They're pumping out a lot of my suggestions. Yeah, the program director is back, baby, indirectly. They're doing all the work. I'm just throwing out some names, and they're playing a lot of it, so that's good. And thanks for watching. That's good, too, and I will see you soon.